Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. How are you, Jad?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So, what do you got for me?
So the first question is it haram to marry into a family that's Muslim but has a distant family member who is a part of LGBTQ?
If we're going to judge our decisions based on what other people are doing, then everything is going to become haram very quickly. So, in the time of the Prophet, والسلام, all of them, everybody had family members who were doing things that we believe is even more problematic and more unethical than LGBT, and that is worshiping other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they still got married from each other. What matters is who you're marrying, not the family you're marrying into. Now, if you're going to ask the question, is this a relationship or a dynamic I want to deal with? Because, yeah, you're marrying a person, that's what we're going to look at in terms of halal and haram, but you're also marrying into a family that you're going to have to deal with. So although, if the person you're marrying is a halal choice, so to speak, but they have family members who are doing things that are un-Islamic, you can still marry that person. So that's one question. And then whether it's a good decision to marry that person, that's a completely different question. So what I'm answering now is, it is halal to marry someone who is a halal spouse choice, even if they have family members, whether it's their parents, their siblings, whoever, or distant relatives who are doing that which we disagree with.
Would you say that you need to distance yourself from that family member?
Well, it depends. It depends on the personality, the person's personality, their ability to influence. Are they good at influencing, or do they tend to be influenced? Right? Also, to what extent are they animist towards you? Some are peaceful. Right? They do their own thing. They're not, they just do their own thing. It's their problem. Others they're going to go after you for that because you disagree with them. So you have to pay attention to that as well.
Okay. All right, so for the next question, how can we explain to people that being a part of LGBTQ is haram when they respond with, they can't help it if they're born that way?
Were they really born that way?
Probably not.
Is there any scientific evidence, any research that shows us that there is, reasonable, logical evidence that supports this claim? As far as now, up until now, nothing. This whole gauging article that was released, I don't know when, was completely disproved. That research was unable to be replicated. And so the scientific community dismissed it as being false. Plus, the one who authored it was homosexual himself. So that really, it shows bias there. So we as Muslims, we don't believe a person is born homosexual. We don't believe this. We believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with a fitrah, as he says in the 30th chapter of the Quran. فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. We were born with natural characteristics, not similar personalities, but there's an innate nature of the human being, among which is the person is attracted to the opposite gender. Yes, there might be rare circumstances where somebody has some sort of biological, physiological abnormality that plays around a little bit with their desires. But to say that people are born naturally attracted to the other gender, we have no research to prove this. Yes, some people are born with low testosterone levels. The man is, they don't find, it's like they don't have that desire for the other gender. But to say they have a desire for the same gender, we have no evidence there. Plus, even if we were to say, yes, there is proof and there's evidence that a person is born homosexual, right? It doesn't make it right. Every man or men men are born with a desire for women. What does Allah say about engaging in intimacy outside of marriage?
It's haram.
It's haram. So even if you feel like it, and this is a natural desire for a man to want a woman and a woman to want a man, Allah says just because you want it doesn't make it right. Just because you feel like doing it doesn't make it right, unless you make these circumstances that makes it safe.
Okay, so for example, if a Muslim man or woman has the desire of acting on the same gender, but they don't, it's just thought, is that haram?
So long as it doesn't go beyond the thoughts, it's fine, right? I'm not saying that the person doesn't have, I'm not saying they don't need to address this issue, but it doesn't become haram. They're not getting sin, let's put it that way. In fact, somebody who has the feelings but understands that this is something that displeases Allah, and so they refrain from doing it for the sake of Allah, that person is not only praised, they are rewarded, and they're considered a mujahid. They're considered someone who's striving for the sake of Allah.
Okay, so for the next question, it's how should we deal with the LGBT community and what are the boundaries? Can we study with them? Can I make a friendship with a gay person as long as he's treating me well and not affecting my religion?
So the general rule is as follows. How do they treat you? If they're somebody who they have their own ways, they have their own lifestyle, and they're friendly towards you, and they're not trying to force you to accept this or to convince you that this is okay or try to influence your morality, then it is okay to have what I would call a light relationship with that person in the realm of acquaintance. I know this person, I see that they're in my class. Sometimes we partner up for projects or whatnot. That's fine. I would discourage going beyond that. Right? So keep it in the environment you see this person in that brings you together. So if it's in university, keep it at the university. If it's in school, keep it at school. If it's a coworker, keep it at work. That's it. Don't go beyond that. And the reason is mainly because of the what's going on in the world. Now remember, we are more in disagreement with those who worship other than Allah. That's kufr. Right? That's the greatest sin. Yeah, we have friends of this from people from other religions, don't we? Right? So the reason why we want to be a little bit sensitive with LGBT is because of the current trend. Once that trend dies down, we can revisit this question and maybe give a little bit different dynamics. So that's one scenario. Another scenario is that person is promoting the behavior. They want to convince you that this is okay. They're aggressive towards you. They think that Muslims are bigoted or anybody who believes in the traditional family structure is an evil person. That's a person who's transgressing our rights and our values. No, we're gonna keep a distance from that person.
So as long as they're not pushing the influence on you, they're kind of just keeping it to themselves, then it's okay to be acquaintances, but as to call them your friend, that's discouraged.
Uh, forget about the word. We're talking about how do you interact with this person.
Okay.
Call him a friend, whatever. These are just words. Right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم. Allah doesn't prohibit you from being kind and good with people who aren't attacking you, who aren't chasing you out of your homes, who aren't trying to pressure you into doing that which is haram. And then Allah follows it up and says, إنما ينهاكم الله عن الذين قاتلوكم في الدين وأخرجوكم من دياركم وظاهروا على إخراجكم أن تولوهم. Allah prohibits you from being friends or having those relationships with people who are aggressive towards you, who are attacking you, who try and demonize you and your religion.
So as long as they respect your beliefs and respect the fact that you don't believe in that, then it generally is okay to interact with them. And
Yes, interact. But again, keep it in the space that brings you together. Why? Because of the trend that's going on now. Once that trend ends, if it ends, we can revisit the question. All right?
okay. So the next question is it okay to be homophobic?
Well, go back to my talk. It's on YouTube. Is Islam homophobic? Islam, it kind of goes back to what I was just saying now. This whole idea of being homophobic is bizarre. It's strange. The terminology is problematic. Why? Because it's a behavior, it's an action that doesn't constitute an identity. Right? Your actions don't define you because your actions can change. You are defined by by things that are permanent. Right? You're a male. She's a female. You're Middle Eastern descent, of Middle Eastern descent, right? You are of a certain age. If I come at you and I treat you poorly because of something that you had no choice in, that's pure injustice. What can I do about that? Whereas when it comes to issues of actions, this is issues of right and wrong, issues of morality and immorality, ethics, ethical behaviors and unethical behaviors. There's nothing innately advantageous of being a male or a female, of being white or black, nor is there anything disadvantageous of it about it. But actions are in our control. So you can't be phobic towards an action. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it. Now, I'm not denying that there are people out there who are extremists, who are violently and inappropriately dealing with people of the LGBT community. I'm not denying that, and that's wrong. But to call us phobic for disagreeing with actions, I would problematize the terminology right there.
So I would say that so it's not okay to be homophobic, but it's perfectly fine for us to disagree with it. And something I've noticed is that the LGBTQ community is actually they're they're kind of, I want to say, protesting against that because we disagree
They're protesting against us,
because
right?
we disagree with them.
Right.
And really, they're protesting against anyone who doesn't agree with their beliefs.
They're not just protesting against it. Right? You might find people of the black community protesting against white supremacy. You might find people of another community protesting against racism. But they're not shoving like you have to accept everything about us and be like us as well. The LGBT lobby they want to literally do this to your children. It's very bad. It's very bad. So, we're going to tell them, look, justice needs to be met. And we're not going to allow you to take our families away from us, especially our children.